What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Fast. Today, let's get started with Sean O'Malley's coach labels Bo Nickal the only hope to beat Khamzat Chimaev. Sean O'Malley's coach Tim Welch believes that Bo Nickal might pose problems for Khamzat Chimaev inside the UFC octagon. At one point during the conversation, Welch claimed that although Nickal would possibly lose to Chimaev at the moment, the 28-year-old could be a threat to Boers in the future. He also mentioned that Nickal could be on par with Chimaev in terms of wrestling skills. I tweeted, "Bo Nickal might be our only hope." People were fired up about that. I didn't mean Bo Nickal right now. I feel like Bo Nickal right now might get beat up by Khamzat. But a year and a half, if Bo keeps developing his striking, he's one guy who could match his wrestling in the middleweight division. One thing to note is that Nickal has managed to secure a finish in all of his fights, 2 knockouts and 4 submissions. Considering the run that he is currently on, it would be interesting to see how the 28-year-old would match up against Chimaev if the two get to share the octagon in the future. Coach Lopez thinks Topuria's talk of champ status is premature. The coach of Alexander Volkanovski believes UFC featherweight champion Ilia Topuria hasn't yet earned a chance to add the lightweight belt to his collection. The Spaniard is quickly building a strong legacy at featherweight, and at the age of just 27, he has plenty of time to achieve his goal of surpassing the champs that came before him in the division. Topuria, however, appears to already have one eye on conquering another weight class. Even before he added Holloway's name and a first defense to his resume, the fast-rising star outlined his plans to dethrone lightweight kingpin Islam Makhachev. In addition to going back and forth with the Dagestani on social media, Topuria has even vowed to beat Makhachev at his own game by becoming the first to submit him. One man who is certainly familiar with the lightweight champ, however, has told Topuria to hold his horses. That's great, but you've got to have, like with anybody, you've got to have at least 5 or 6 title defenses before you start looking at doubling up. You're just holding up divisions. When you've cleaned out a division, then you've got the right to jump up a division. Until then, you've just got to fight the cause in your division, you know? I guess it's like jumping the queue and you want to have the title shot before somebody else that's above you, you know? But it's just human nature. Everybody wants that double champ status because it's very rare to get. Tyron Woodley believes Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson is a very even fight. Paul and Tyson are set to box on Friday, November 15th. The two were supposed to box earlier this year, but a medical issue on Tyson's side delayed the contest. With Tyson being 58 years old, many don't want to see him box and believe Jake Paul will run through him. However, Tyron Woodley, who boxed Jake Paul twice, believes it's a very even fight. It's a very even fight, to be honest. I think it's an even fight because of the age of Mike Tyson. He's completely obviously out of his prime. Jake's always in a win-win situation. He's fighting guys that if he loses, you lost to this guy, you lost to Tyron, you lost to Anderson Silva, you lost to Nate Diaz or whatever. So he's always in a position where if he wins, he goes up. If he loses, it's like, okay, he took a risk. Shavkat Rakhmonov has his sights set on the former welterweight champion. Shavkat Rakhmonov is determined to stay on the UFC 310 card and has floated the idea of an interim title fight against Kamaru Usman. Rakhmonov was initially set to headline UFC 310 in a welterweight title bout against Belal Muhammad, but the reigning champion withdrew due to injury. Speaking with Ariel Helwani, Rakhmonov's manager confirmed that negotiations are underway to keep Rakhmonov on the UFC 310 lineup, potentially in an interim title fight. The manager mentioned that Usman has reportedly been offered the fight, as he's seen as the most logical replacement. Rakhmonov himself expressed readiness to step in, saying, "I believe there is a worthy opponent available. I'm ready to save the card too if it's for the interim title. I believe Kamaru is the worthy opponent who's also probably ready to jump in and face him." Chael Sonnen suggests Sean O'Malley could challenge Ilia Topuria in UFC return. Former UFC title challenger Chael Sonnen sees no reason why the promotion couldn't pair featherweight kingpin Ilia Topuria with Sean O'Malley next year. O'Malley ignited talk of pursuing 2-division glory following Topuria's rise to the 145-pound throne at the start of 2024. Believing it to be easier to move up without a title, Sonnen doesn't see a clash between Topuria and bantamweight contender O'Malley in 2025 to be a crazy idea. One of the big talking points this week is what could have been. What could have been with a super fight between Sean O'Malley and Ilia Topuria. How massive that could have been. Had Sean won, he and Ilia Topuria would not be fighting. If I'm right, but you're also right in that that's the massive fight, we can now make it, and we can make it right now. It's not a crazy idea. What if he did take 10 or 12 months? 10 or 12 months to put on some size, and he comes right up and challenges Ilia Topuria. Javier Mendez spoke highly of Khamzat Chimaev. American Kickboxing Academy head coach Javier Mendez has high praise for Khamzat Chimaev, placing him in elite company among MMA fighters. The UFC middleweight contender has quickly gained attention, with many calling for him to skip ahead of Sean Strickland for a title shot against the current champion Dricus du Plessis. Interestingly, du Plessis himself has expressed interest in facing Chimaev next, suggesting it would be a more exciting matchup. During an interview, Mendez compared Chimaev's skill level to that of UFC legends Khabib and Islam, though he acknowledged the distinct styles among them. "I think they're the same level, but they're different styles. They're not the same fighter. They're just different. Just like Khabib and Islam. They're the same level, but they're different. And Khamzat's different." Earlier this year, du Plessis claimed the middleweight title by defeating Strickland via split decision, setting the stage for a potentially thrilling showdown with Chimaev. Stipe Miocic responds to criticism that Tom Aspinall should be fighting Jon Jones at UFC 309 instead. Former UFC heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic believes most fans want to see him fight Jon Jones. The 42-year-old hasn't been seen in the cage since a second-round knockout loss to Francis Ngannou in early 2021. Due to the destructive nature of the defeat, some assumed Stipe Miocic would never fight again. However, over 3 years later, he's set to return at UFC 309 opposite Jon Jones. While few would doubt Stipe Miocic's place as one of the greatest UFC heavyweights of all time, there's currently an interim champion by the name of Tom Aspinall. Furthermore, Aspinall has argued that most fans would rather see him fight Jones than the 42-year-old former champion. However, Stipe Miocic has to disagree with the interim champion's comments. There, Miocic noted that he's not the matchmaker, but he also understands why they gave him the title shot over the Brit. "It wasn't my choice, it's a fight I wanted and the UFC gave it to me. They didn't have to. I believe so there's a reason why it's happening. I believe people want to see that. I think a lot more people want to see the fight than him fight Aspinall. He's a big boy. It's what people want. He knocks people out. I don't listen to anything on the outside. I used to when I was younger. I was real sensitive. I literally stopped caring anymore. I don't care what anyone says. I don't really care." Michael Chandler promises something exceptional for fans in Showdown with Charles Oliveira at UFC 309. The former Bellator champion will go up against the former UFC champion Charles Oliveira. But having managed to win just one fight in his last 4 fights, Chandler will have his task cut out for him as both fighters attempt to get on the title shot train. The Brazilian had lost his belt to Islam Makhachev back in 2022, and since then, he has been on a quest to win it back. Chandler, as a fighter, is one of the most explosive and entertaining athletes inside the octagon. But ahead of his November fight, the former Bellator champion has promised fans something better and exceptional. "What you will see November 16th will be something you have never seen from me. Something exceptional, something mind-blowing. Champ in 2025. Chandler and Oliveira have fought each other once before, and the Brazilian came out on top, despite a dominating first round by the American. Chandler ended up going for broke in the second round as well, only to make extremely questionable decisions that would end up with Oliveira firmly on his back, and it was only a matter of time from there.